It's not what you say, but how you say it. This is a phrase that many of us have heard many times, but I've tested this theory, and it isn't always true, considering that yelling praises to someone versus yelling criticisms to the same person are both yelling, but will likely get different responses.
And you're going to deliver the thing that God promised you. Take 30 seconds and give God a praise.
Nothing but a prostitute.
Amen.
Yeah,
You have to put your foot down and say, that's it. I'm not letting other people steal my joy. I'm not letting what's not working out cause me to be sour.
Why is it so many times that women, after they get married, let themselves go? Now look, I'm not saying every woman can be the epic trophy wife of all time. A food that diminishes a woman's sex drive. It's called wedding cake.
So sometimes it's not how you say what you say, but that you have the nerve to say it at all.
How dare you?
Which leads some people to believe that delivery is of no importance when speaking on the facts. But how accurate is this line of thought? Let's take a look at a moment that occurred during an episode of the Fresh and Fit podcast, where words were said, emotions were triggered, and the subject of delivery came into the spotlight.
See, here's the thing. I said that, and she automatically assumed that's what it was, and that's how she felt.
Yeah. I did.
Well, your feelings. I never said that.
Yeah. That's how I felt. That's why I said as long as.
But how you feel versus what's real are two different things. I just said women deserve less. You interpret it that way. Whose fault is that?
It's the way, it's your approach and how you say it.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Whose fault is it for interpreting it that way?
So anybody else here, the way that he speaks, does he come as though he is trying to tell you that women deserve less because of how they are making men devalue, or does it feel like it's coming from a personal stance?
Here's a problem. You kept saying feel. All right. I conveyed something. You, instead of listening to what was said, you cared about how it was said. That's the difference between men and women.
It's both.
We communicate directly. I say this. You interpret it that way because it was said in a certain way.
Okay.
How I say it is irrelevant. What is said is what's relevant.
This is true on a primal level, and if the world were made of robots. But let's take the argument and extrapolate it to all human communication. Let's say that there was a butcher who sold all kinds of meat, and that butcher had a delivery driver named Fresh. And Fresh had a package of chicken that he is delivering addressed to Myron's mom. So that same day, Myron decides to go visit his mother, who lives in a gated community. And as Myron is entering the gated neighborhood, he notices his buddy, the delivery driver, Fresh, on the opposite side, exiting the neighborhood. So Myron flags down Fresh and says hello. Hey! Myron hadn't seen Fresh in a while, so happy to see him. He asks Fresh why was he in the area, and Fresh responds, I was delivering that big old meat package to your mama. What? Those are technically the facts. But how many men do you think would stomach that type of delivery of those facts?
no.
The human element must also be regarded in communication, which is why we don't yell the lullaby at the baby and wonder why it isn't going to sleep. Now you would think that this would be common sense. But if the argument is that delivery plays no role in achieving an interpersonal communicational goal and/or is not imperative in any matter within the human experience, then you'll have much to reconsider. But here's the irony. The hosts of this podcast, Fresh and Fit, would be considered red pill content creators. And if I'm under the right impression, the red pill ideology is vehemently against cancel culture, the same cancel culture that came for Dave Chappelle for the things he said on his Netflix special, The Closer. And Dave Chappelle's point of contention with his critics and detractors was that in their admonishment, they never considered his art.
These kids said everything about gender and this and that and the other, but they didn't say anything about art. That you cannot report on an artist's work and remove artistic nuance from his words.
Artistic nuance, which is his timing and delivery.
Many people in Western world, they are facing the problem of high obesity.
Hira Ratan Manek, as seen here on the screen, was a man who set out to prove to the world that the human form can survive on sunlight and water alone. He set a Guinness World Record after going on a fast for 411 days. Now suppose Hira made the argument that food is not important, because after all, he's proof of the concept. So when you sit down to eat your peanut butter and jelly sandwich, Hira walks up and slaps it out of your hand because food is irrelevant.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
So maybe in a world devoid of emotion and human psychology, where satire and seriousness are clearly distinguishable by the words that are spoken and not by the way the words are spoken, maybe then there will be no need to consider delivery.
Hey, what happened?
Or food, for that matter.
1, 2, 3, hit it. All right. I'll be delivering meat. I'm delivering meat. This big old meat. Package to your mama.
Your mama like meat.
Your mama wants the meat. She want that meat. She ordered it. So I'm delivering it.
Your mama like meat.
The meat got bones. Yeah, she want it. Big old meat. Big old juicy meat for your mama. Delivery. I'm delivering. Big old meat. Your mama like meat. Oh yeah. She like big old meat. Hot dang. Big old meat.